Adam Gertler's here with sausages.
Whoa.
Woo! Let's see what he's got here. I should do the show standing up. Here we go. No, then they won't see me.
Right.
All right, what do we... Okay,
There's
Adam,
a little camera system.
Get back in your seat there. And don't worry, there's plenty to go around. Evelyn, too. Evelyn.
Perfect, I can see him. Okay.
All right.
Great.
All right. Adam Gertler is here. Adam, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Have you ever been to Angel Stadium before? No, I guess not, because you got lost.
Well, I've never been to the radio station, but
okay.
no, you know what? I think I did see a game here once. I did see a game here a few years ago because I'm from the East Coast, so when the Yankees were in town, I think I came to a game.
Where are you from?
Originally from Long Island, New York.
Okay.
But I've been in California for 12 years at this point, 12, 13 years.
So let me just give you a little bit of what I know about Adam, and then we'll let him. I said he was the co-host. Leroy's here, and Evelyn and Turtle is here. That's Turtle, by the way.
Turtle.
Hey, how's it
I've
going?
heard you. I've heard you before, Turtle.
Tell me more.
Turtle. Anyway, Adam Gertler's here. He is here on behalf of the Dog Haus, but he's got so many things, like a lot of us. He's got a lot of things
You
happening.
gotta hustle.
We're on the hustle. Leroy, what were we talking about during the break? The hustle.
The hustle.
The hustle of radio.
You got to know what's coming and what's going.
Or at least one or the other.
It's the hustle. So you're here on behalf of the Dog Haus. They've expanded like crazy. Started in Pasadena, my hometown of Pasadena, and the Dog Haus. Why I thought you would be a good guest today, since we are in Anaheim and we've got listeners all over the place, but Orange County, the 909, Inland Empire, West Covina. So Adam's here, brought some sausages. What did you bring? Let's left to right or right to left.
Okay. Well, let's start on the end closest to me right here. Okay, what you just grabbed right there is, I believe, Italian. That's classic Italian.
You know why I know that?
Why is that?
Because all of a sudden I'm Italian.
You got a little bit of garlic, a little bit of fennel in that one. There's some fresh basil as well, red pepper, Romano cheese. It's a little bit more emulsified than some typical Italian sausage that tend to be a little bit more granular, a little bit more gritty. We like to mix the sausages a little bit more so they have that kind of snap to the texture of them. Which is kind of like a German thing, right? That's like German sausages tend to be a little bit more like emulsified. Next to that is another classic one. That's a bratwurst right there. Yep. No, the other way. Yes. So that's a bratwurst next to the Italian. That has a little bit of nutmeg, a little bit of ginger, a little bit of mace. It's kind of more subtle flavor, but very delicious. Good amount of pork fat from pork jowl, as well as picnic that we use to get the perfect fat structure. Obviously, or maybe not obvious, but fat is part of what makes a sausage delicious, right? Fat and salt. Without those two things, you're not going to have a good sausage. Closer to that is a classic Polish sausage that's got a little bit of marjoram, also garlic. Paprika is what gives you the color. Next to that is a classic beef. The flavor of this one, I think, is a little bit of an homage to my East Coast roots. It's got a little bit of that pickling spice, and it kind of just has an East Coast kind of New York deli flavor. But also good amount of garlic, mace, pickling spices, all beef. That's the most emulsified sausage. That's what gives it the sausage texture. And on the other end there is a spicy little number that came off my smoker at home on the far end right there. That's called a chorizo, and that is going to be a limited time only sausage that we're offering starting in September, and it's for our Chefs Collaboration Series where we give to No Kid Hungry. We partner up with different chefs. This time it's Isaac Toups from New Orleans, who's got great restaurant called Toups Meadery in New Orleans, and so that's his chorizo recipe, and then I interpret it. I make a version of it, which is that one, and then we have it made for all of our restaurants. So that one literally came off my Weber kettle grill in my backyard not a half hour ago.
I get the smoke already. It took me about 3 seconds, but I'm
Yeah.
ooh, I get the smoke there.
Yeah.
Adam Gertler is here. He is the culinary director
Yep.
for the Dog Haus restaurants that is expanding like Turtle's waistline.
In a good way. In a good way.
Mahalo, aloha. My friend Ventura Flores is watching us on Facebook in Hawaii right now, and I'm guessing it's probably about 2:26. You guys got any dog houses in Hawaii?
No, not yet. And you would think so because everything we serve is on grilled King's Hawaiian
Oh,
bread.
I love that stuff. That's the
So,
bomb.
I mean, and I know even though most of the bread for King's Hawaiian is made here in Torrance,
Yeah.
I talked to
Yeah.
their
That's believe it or not.
their chef,
Yeah.
Bert Agor, who actually is doing our current LTO right now. If you go to Dog Haus right now until the end of the month, you get the Big Kahuna Burger.
Yeah.
And that is courtesy of Chef Bert Agor. And he's always talking about how they're always out there, and he is from Hawaii as well. I've been trying to angle a trip for so long.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I would love a Dog Haus there. I think we would actually, no joke, I think Dog Haus would kill it there.
Well, also what we would do is we'd have a bar, because I know you guys are into the craft beer things, but no,
very much so.
We would do Mai Tais, because I am the king.
I
of the
heard
Mai
you.
Tais.
I know you love a Mai Tai and a crab cake is what they say about you.
Yes.
And if you could put them in one meal, even better.
What?
And so wait,
Genius.
You're a Pasadena guy.
Yes.
And I know I've heard you talk about Houston's. I actually waited tables for Houston's.
I do like Houston's.
Way back in the day. Did you ever have their crab cake?
It's not on the menu anymore.
No, it's not. I don't know, but stuff comes back with them. But man, it was one of the best ever.
Listen, we're here to talk about the Dog Haus, but I this time I said that Adam Gertler is co-hosting the show. So I get to segue. I know I'm the king of segues, and I have problems concentrating on this subject.
You own a Segway as well?
I own a Segway. But I went to Billy's on the Beach in Newport Beach. World famous for their Mai Tais, but that was last week's joke. We got to leave that behind us. World famous for their Mai Tais. They have a crab cake, $21 for lunch. It's called lunch. And then at dinner, they changed the name to an appetizer. Right. As a chef, please tell me, maybe I've got something wrong, because on the menu it said lump crab.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, like Houston's used to do, and Fleming still does, when I ordered the crab cake, it's shredded now. It's completely shredded. Okay, they got the lump crab and have shredded it. Why do that? Keep a little lump in there.
Yeah.
And so, loved Billy's.
Was it bready inside, or?
No, it was not bready inside. But anytime I go to a restaurant, I see crab cakes, chili, Mai Tai. I'm ordering it because that's what I've got to be known for something, and that's what I hang my hat on. But why? I'm asking you, co-host, for the show.
Sure.
Why wouldn't they just keep it lumpy? Because that's the way it's supposed to be. It's all shredded. It was.
I mean, listen, as I said before, I think the first real crab cake I had was that one from Houston's when I was a server. I'm talking turn of the century here now. And so their whole thing was they only put breading on the outside.
That's right.
So you had to handle this thing so delicately. So the reason why you shred it's easier to do.
Yeah.
That would be my first thing. I mean, it takes more care to both pick through the shell and maintain the lump, but that to me is the game of the crab cake. Like that's what you're trying to do. It's like making gnocchi, right? Like making gnocchi, like you want to add as little flour as possible, but as much as you need. But if you add enough that it's easy to work with, you got too much flour.
I'm challenging anybody out there to tell me where the friggin' good crab cake is, because it's not Billy's. I'm just saying it's not. It was fine. But, as my friend...
but how's the Mai Tai?
Mai Tai's good. It's top 10. Some reason that my friend Richard Binder listens to the show. Richard owns Felipe's, the French dip place downtown L.A.
Love it.
And he says he listens to the show, and after the show he texts me. He goes, yeah, but when I used to go there, because back in the day, they were $10. Now they're $15. So they've raised the price a little. I don't get into price much here on the show because I understand it. Everything is going up. And I was reading your bio, and you got a little barbecue in your past.
I like to do the smoking of the meats. I mean, that's honestly what indirectly led to me partnering with Dog Haus. I actually, my brother and I, we used to have a barbecue restaurant in Philadelphia, like a long time ago. And, so that's, I'd been into smoking and all that kind of stuff. And then, I was actually doing a show on the Food Network called We'll Work for Food, where I did these different food jobs. And one of the jobs was working in a barbecue pit, which I was obviously very familiar with at that point. But what I wasn't familiar with was the sausage making. They made sausages. So that's kind of what got me into that. So I love curing, smoking, grilling. That is my world. That is like how I relax. Some people golf. I smoke or grill.
Who owns the rights to that name, Will Work for Food? You or the Food Network?
Oh, well, I mean, it's their show, so
I guess
mean,
they do.
Yeah. But I don't know. Honestly, we lasted barely one season, and they didn't pick it up again, so you could probably pick it up on the cheap.
Yeah.
or you change the title, We'll Work With Food. You know what I mean?
That's right. Just one little...
Exactly.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of shows that changed their name like slightly because some old network owns it. So what are you proposing? You and I go out on the road, Peter? What's going on?
Yeah, I like the idea. I've got so many ideas. But I have a radio show, so we do all right.
But yes, you were saying grilling background. Yeah. Yes, I love it. And that's what's great living out here, obviously, because it's always grilling season. I mean, pretty much.
You know what? I again, we're going to segue, but we're going to take a break in a couple minutes. I think what we need to do, Adam.
Okay.
I think we really need to. I know we're here championing the cause of the Dog Haus, but I know that there's a lot of mom and pop restaurants. My dad made a fortune. No, he didn't. My dad made a living by talking about restaurants that you would drive by and not think to go in, and just he would discover them before the Food Network, before Bravo, before all of that stuff, right, Leroy?
Yeah.
And he would talk about these places, and you'd go, oh my God, I drove by that place, no way. And then you go in and go, oh my God. And that's when he was on Channel 7. I think, anyway, make a long story short, I think what we need to do is really get involved with the stories of restaurateurs. Because people have, I mean, I could go out and write a review on a restaurant, but I think people like the stories. That's why I'm asking you. I'm not asking you what's on the menu at the Dog Haus. That sounds like a infomercial.
Right.
I want to find out about Adam Gertler. I want to find out how the Dog Haus started and why. And that's what people want to know. Because otherwise, like, oh, Peter, make sure you tell them we have free parking. Oh, who cares? You got free parking.
Yeah. Not only that, why do they spell house wrong? You know?
Well, that is because one of the partners is of German heritage, Andre Venner.
Yes.
And I think in their inception, there's three partners that started the Dog Haus about 10 years ago, I think at this point, maybe even 11 years at this point. And I think one of the things they had talked about was kind of doing the more German style, which is like on these very little tiny buns with very long sausages and all this. But it evolved from that, and I think they just liked the name, liked the kitsch of it. And it really started with these three guys. Two of them had another restaurant, and they just really liked food, and they really wanted a place to have like great hot dogs. And then through some accidental experimentation, probably fueled by some of that craft beer previously mentioned, one of the guys, I think it was Qasim, I don't know, they might debate that, decided to put did the King's Hawaiian, the three buns, and they buttered one side of it and sliced it down the middle and used those three buns as the hot dog bun. And I thought and at the time I think they thought, well, that would be cool to do for an item. And then it really became a lot of the identity of the place. And then they had one restaurant, then a second in Pasadena, then a third in Alhambra.
Right.
And around that time, I was launching my own brand called Gertler's Worst. As I was talking about, I was on the Food Network, I did a couple of shows, but then I also got into just making sausages as a hobby because it was a very foreign food, no pun intended. I mean, there's sausages all over the world, but it was so weird to me to make it, and it was so bad when I started making it that I became obsessed with how do you get the texture? How do you get it right? Because there was not a lot written about it when I had first started. So I had launched this company where I was kind of trying to do these new flavors, and the guy that I was working with, Tony Cantella from Papa Cantella's in Vernon, he introduced me to the partners. And so they tried my kielbasa, I think a couple of my other sausages, and they were like, oh yeah, we'll put these on the menu. And that's where our relationship started about like 8 or so years ago. And then as it went on, then they made me the Wurstmacher, because they were getting sausages from all over and they were good, but they didn't have their own, it wasn't their own thing. And as Dog Haus started to expand, I was like, all right, well, we should have proprietary sausages.
Right.
And that's where I got the title Wurstmacher, which is the sausage maker. And that's kind of what I started doing. So I would make sausages just like I did in my kitchen with the one that you tried over there, the Charisse. I would make all these in my kitchen, a 5-pound batch, a 10-pound batch, grind it, stuff it, smoke it in my backyard. And when it's right, we take it to Tony, still working with Tony, who will make a 100-pound batch. And if we can get a 100-pound batch, then you can get a 300-pound batch. And then at 300 pounds, that's about as big as a single mixer gets. And then if we're supplying all of our 50 restaurants across the country, we might make 10 of those 300-pound batches.
We're talking to Adam Gertler. He is the culinary director for the Dog Haus. We know that in the next few months we'll continue to talk about the Dog Haus because we will continue to be giving away gift cards to you. And we do that with the trivia questions here on AM 830. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks, Adam Gertler,
Sure.
Leroy, everybody, Evelyn, Turtle. Yeah. I told a joke, and I thought it was pretty good.
It was good.
We are on next week. The following week, we've got an Angel game that's going to go on at 4
We're being
o'clock.
preempted.
We're being preempted. But tune in next week. Hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in. It's Peter Dills, AM 830, KLAA.
Yeah, dining with Dills. It's all good.